Hi, I'm Bruce from Pari, and today we're setting up a brand new HD3 on a trailer for our customer. We're going to go from start to finish, from setting this thing up off the ute with our scale indicator, and we're going to run a few sheep through this HD3. All right, mate, can you bring it back, mate? So we just moved our Racewell sheep handler back to the temporary yards we've got set up here, and then we're going to lower our hydraulic lever down, remove our Dura-Torque, and switch our bypass lever to the other side so we can allow the fluid to go the opposite way, and our Racewell will just sit nicely down on the flat. Right now we're going to move our dagging pole stand from the trailer. While we're here, we're going to push our drawbar back, pull the pin, push it back out of the way. Now here is our platform that we're going to be working on, our working standing platform. So we're just going to remove the trailer pin, drop it down. We insert our stand to the platform and reach over and grab our pole, our plant pole stand, and insert into the stand like so. So now while I'm here, I'm just going to adjust the my lead up position. We can bring our sides in and out for the different size of our animals. We've got our hose, it's an aero fitting, and just under the base of our Racewell here, we just got a male fitting that we just poke our hose into, and we're good to now put our scale indicator on. Right, now we're going to get into our boxes and start getting our brackets out and start installing our indicator brackets. So here in this box we've got our Racewell handler manual, we've got our battery clips and a hat and our remote for operating the sheep handler. Also have and here we have our foot pedal section. So this is to go down on the floor for when we're wanting to tilt our sheep over for some crutching. And in here we have our scale indicator bracket, which we will be installing over here so we can mount our indicator. Now we're going to attach our cables to our Pari T20 drafting indicator. Firstly, we've got our caps, our load bar caps. We'll remove those first. Then secondly, we connect our drafting cable. This is an IP rated connection. So this is the communication between the indicator and the Racewell sheep handler itself. So we always put this into COM 1. And then lastly, we'll put in our power for our indicator. So we have an internal battery in our Pari T20. So we can charge this up, and this is more than happy to run for a whole day with the sheep handler. We also have battery clips, so we can run this all from a battery. Right now we're going to attach our foot pedal connections. So we have two positions for our foot pedal. We now have our 3-pin plug. We have two positions that this can go in. We have it on our hoist, so this is for tilting our sheep handler over for crutching our sheep. Or we can have it in the catch and release position, so we can use the foot pedal to manually catch the sheep and release them. So we're just going to tuck our foot pedal away. We're just going to stick it under the midsection out of the way. Now, Pari Racewell has 4 eyes, so 2 sets. We have our blue eyes and our black eyes. The blue eyes control our auto gate, and our black eyes control the catch wall. So we set those positions where we first think we want to catch our sheep. So these ones here will shut that off, so the further we have these eyes forward, it's gonna shut that gate later. And our front eyes, the further back we have our eyes, it's gonna catch the sheep further back. Ideally, when we're weighing and drafting, we wanna catch them in the middle. When we wanna access the rear of the animal, we wanna catch the animal at the back. And we wanna access the front of the animal, we wanna catch the animal further up the front, so we would have our eyes further forward. Now we're going to turn on our Pari sheep handler. We've got a red LED that indicates that we've got power. We've got a toggle switch here for our eyes off and our eyes on, so this controls whether we want these eyes on or off. We have our auto release. When the auto release is in the on position, this lets the indicator control when the wall releases. When it's in the off position, this is in the manual mode, so we will release the animal either through pushing down the hold switch or using the remote. Our draft toggle switch, so if we just manually wanting to draft, our left gate and our right gate. And normally we'd have this in the center position. Next toggle switch is our tilt up and down. You can control this from the dashboard, but normally we would use our foot pedal. This gives us great access to the rear of the animal. And when we want to return, we swap pedals. This is our hold pressure switch. We have increase and decrease. If we increase it, it increases the pressure of the hold of the animal. With our ewes, or pregnant ewes and our lambs, we want to have decrease the pressure because we don't want to bruise our animals. Right now we're just going to check our eyes to make sure they're working. The last thing we want to do for safety is to put our hands or head anywhere on the other side in between the catching section. So we always do everything from the outside, so we're just going to cover our finger and we know our auto gate's working, so we test both eyes. And then as you can see, if I cover my black eye, nothing's working, but as soon as my blue eye's covered, we've got some clamp. So now also we're going to think about our safety. We've got a lot of moving parts. We've just got to make sure we don't have any fingers, hands, legs, knees, anything in the way of anything that's moving. With our foot pedal, when we're tilting the animal over, we want to make sure that we're at the back, so we're not in the way of the machine as it tilts over, so we're clean away from the machine. And when we're not using this, we want it nicely under the way so it's not a trip hazard when we're walking up and down our platform. And when we do any work on the machine or setting up, we just want to turn our Racewell off. Right, now I'm going to show you how to adjust your wall. The higher our pin is at the top, the less the wall comes over. The lower the pin down, the further our wall comes over. So what we want to do first is we want to disconnect the pressure on the ram. This makes it a little bit easier for us to manipulate where we want our wall. We'll release our pin. That's in our second position forward. We can also put our wall on an angle. Drop that in there. So now we're going to adjust our side wall for the animals we're going to put through today. Release my hoses. Lift, pull forward. We can have our backing hook on or off. So I'll show you how to put the hook in a locking position. So first we remove our pin, put it in front of the hook, put our retaining pin in there, and this stops the hook from moving forward. Now we're going to set up our Pari T20 for auto drafting. Turn our indicator on, and this will bring up the file page. So for our file page, we want to set up our draft for the day, so you can call this whatever you like, but today we're just going to call it test. So everything we do will be recorded under that file. We press record select. This takes us to the main weighing page. We want to set up our favourite setting for this machine, plus we want to set out our draft limits. So we push set up weigh. This takes us to the main menu. We want favourites, so we're going to select our favourites. And today we're using an HD3. So you see we've got in our favourites, we've got Crush, Platform, HD3 and DR3. These are 4 of our products. Today we're on HD3, so we would put the tick next to the HD3, press record and select. This will ask us to load the favourite, yes. Now our HD3 favourite is loaded and active. We go down to save and exit. We now want to go to draft. We'll set up our drafting limits. Select. We want to draft by weight, so that's correct. So in here we will set our draft ranges. We've got gate 1, 2 and 3. We can change which direction we want to send those weights, whether they're at either or gate. So today we're going to go 0 to 40. At gate 1, gate 2 we're going to send 40 to 45. Gate 3, 45 and above. On our far right hand side here we have auto. So this lets the machine clamp the animal, weigh them and release automatically. If we wanted to, we could, on gate 3, we wanted to hold those animals for whatever reason. We can put it into hold mode, so the animal would come in, it would clamp them and hold the animal until we inspected that animal, and then we would press record select on our indicator and this would release and record the animal. But for today we're just auto drafting. And then we go down to save and exit. And then we push set up weigh, and we always, just out of habit, push that word 0. Make sure we're not touching or anyone is touching the platform because this would 0 them in. Once our machine indicator is ready, we can turn on the race wheel. This helps sync and pair everything together nicely. Now we're going to explain our 3 modes of our Pari sheep handler. When we first turn our machine on, it defaults to mode 1. So how mode 1 works, this controls the return of the auto gate on the eye. When the eye is released, the sheep come through, it clears the eye. So this is the default setting, so this is just a basic setup for auto drafting. The animal controls the back gate. For mode 2, hold down our release switch, turn the machine on, the wall will release, we know it's in mode 2. So what mode 2 does is controls the auto gate return when the wall releases. So this speeds up the auto drafting operations. Now for mode 3, we're holding the hold switch up, turn it on, it's about 3 seconds, the wall will come over. Now we know it's in mode 3. What this does, disconnects our eye from operating this auto gate. The auto gate will still work on the clamp, so when we clamp it, the auto gate will still work, but it just stops it from working on the eyes. This is used for when we want to do clean and dirties, we want to run the sheep all the way through without catching them, so they'll just run straight off. And as soon as we see one that's a little bit dirty, we can manually clamp it and inspect that animal or give it a bit of a clean up. Now we're going to run a sheep through manually, so we're going to manually catch the animal, set a draft gate and release. I'm just catching the animal manually. So the good thing is if you do want to dag your animal, you can catch them manually. You don't have to use the eyes, so you can catch them in the position that you want them in. So I can catch that animal there. I can release it and re-grab. I can grab the animal on the back here, release, pull it back a little bit and re-grab if I'm not happy with the position that I want to inspect that animal. From this point here, I can tilt the animal over and do whatever I like. When I'm ready, I can just use the remote, or you can manually release the animal. So now that we've done the manual operation and on the remote, we're now going to set it into auto drafting. I'm going to turn my eyes back on, auto release. So we're just going to run these animals through. The machine's going to do all the work, capture the weight and draft. That concludes our basic setup of our Pari HD3 sheep handler on a trailer. We also do a handler stationary, which is bolted down in your yards, If you have any queries or questions, please call Te Pari or visit our website.